It's a lot of fun to sing that song. So my advice to you is go home and learn it. You can sing it for yourself. You'll love it. That's how I started singing. It was just for me. So this next song, I'm making a big effort to like shorten down my stories because my stories are starting to be like as long as the show. So I'm like really making an effort. Every time I do it, I mess up because then I take apart out it's impossible to understand where I stopped and where I should start up again. So I'm only sharing this with you because it's part of the fun of being my age. It's like I'm so old that it's like, what's everybody gonna say to me? Stop, you can't do this anymore. I would say, okay, fine. I'll just go home and be a little old lady in a rocking chair with my dog, Lily. I'm only kidding you. You have to like understand I'm just kidding. I totally love you, and when I make dumb jokes like that, it's like just laugh them off. So anyway, this song, shortened, was about when Lindsay and I moved to Los Angeles from San Francisco. And we weren't really supposed to go when we did, but I, especially since my parents told me, if you don't finish San Jose State, you are gonna have all your financial help taken away. And so I went to 2 years of junior college, and then I went to 3 years at San Jose State. But because I was in a band, and you know, I was busy, so I still had 6 months to go. So I made a decision, because I was definitely the decision maker in that little group, me and Lindsay, and I said, we need to move to LA, because the music was in San Francisco, and it was fabulous. But the record deals were in Los Angeles. So I called my mom, and I said, she was in like Barrington, Chicago, where my parents had been transferred. I didn't make that move. And I said, Mom, we have to go. Lindsay and I have to go to Los Angeles. Because the music is here, but the record deals are in LA. And they had been always very supportive of Lindsay's and my music. We'd been singing together since we were both 18. And it was not that they didn't think we were good. They thought we were really good, and they were totally supportive, but not for me to quit college after 5 years without graduating. So I called and I said, so Mom, we have to go now. And she's like, all right, but you know that we will be withdrawing all financial support. And I said, I know. And you know what, Mom? You always told me you raised me to be an independent, strong woman who could hold her own in a room full of men and never blink and be just as educated as them. And I'm only 6 months short, and I need to go. This is my decision because this is the time, and we need to jump. And my mother said, okay. And I said, and I'll just get a job, or 2, or 3, whatever it takes. I will support me and Lindsay. I'll get us an apartment. We can live with our producer. It'll all work out. We'll do the Buckingham Next record. We have people that want us to do it, and people that are willing to help us. So anyway, adios, arrivederci, we're out of here. And she said, okay, I'll tell your father. And I said, okay, you do that, because I would assume not. I'll call you when we get there. And so that's what we did. Immediately to Los Angeles, and we did move in with our producer, Keith Olsen, who produced Buckingham Next and the first Fleetwood Mac record. Yes, and he let us live at his tiny little house up on Coldwater Canyon that was so old that it had a place to tie your horse, in front of it. It's like but it was great. Anyway, and I was the cleaning lady, and it was good because that's how we paid him back for letting us live at his house. And so anyway, we made Buckingham Next, came out great. In fact, we thought, Waddy helped us and worked with us, we thought it was the best record that any of us would ever make, right? We were sure of it. So, well, maybe it was, but Polydor Records just didn't do a thing for it. They just dropped it right after it came out in 1973. We were like horrified. However, being the optimists that we were, we went right into making another record because we could do that by doing what you call a spec album, which means it's a speculation album if you have friends who own a studio and there's nobody in it, they'll let you come in and work for free. So that's what we did. Then we get a call from Keith Olsen and he says, well, guess what? Somebody called who was in the studio when you guys were in the studio yesterday, and he was listening to Lindsay play, and they need a guitar player. And I'm going like, yeah, okay. And he goes, it's an English band, and they're from England, and they're called Fleetwood Mac, and they're fairly well known in Europe. And I'm at this point when they say fairly well known, I'm like, zing! I became like Spock, and I'm like, oh really? Okay, well, and so they need a guitar player, and I'm thinking, okay, I just happen to have one. So I said, so, and when is this person gonna call me? He's gonna call you tomorrow. So I go, okay, I'm gonna answer that phone call. And I went in and I said to Lindsay, we're gonna get a call tomorrow from an Englishman who's in this band called Fleetwood Mac, who neither of us have heard of, but it's a blues band kind of. And so we're gonna go to Tower Records right now. We're gonna take every bit of money we have everywhere saved in our house. We're gonna go there, we're gonna buy every single Fleetwood Mac record, and we're gonna listen to every record tonight. So we know what's going on here. So we did. And we listened to every single record for hours. And anyway, so we crawled off to bed, like, boy, we're ready to sing the blues now. And the next day the phone rings, and I pick up the phone, and I go, hello. And this voice goes, hello, darling. And I'm instantly like, things are better already. You know, every time I tell the story, it's never not funny to me because it's so true. And so anyway, I go like, well, hello, and you are, and he goes, Mick Fleetwood. And I'm like, hello, Mick Fleetwood. And I'm thinking to myself, they only need a guitar player, so I'm gonna totally charm him over the phone, right? I go, hello, Mick Fleetwood. And he goes, hello, Stevie Nicks. And I'm like, saw the future. So anyway, he says we'd like you to meet us at this fabulous Mexican food restaurant that we totally knew of because it was the Fave in Los Angeles. And he said tomorrow 7:30, and I'm like, okay, we'll be there, thanks. And I hang up the phone, and I go and I say, so it's 7:30 tomorrow dinner. And Lindsay's like, you know, I don't really want to be a blues guitar player. And I'm like, I work at the Copper Penny. I work at a French restaurant. I just did food, not alcohol, because I wasn't a good cocktail waitress. And I was a great cleaning lady. And I said, well, guess what? I don't like being a cocktail waitress, which I'm not, and I don't like being a cleaning lady, and I don't like being I don't like serving coffee to people I don't know. I'm tired of it, Lindsay, so you are going to be a great blues guitar player. And he's like, okay. So we get into the next afternoon, or early evening, we get into my Toyota Corolla that has no reverse. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a famous car. And we drive down and we find a parking place somewhere where we can go forward, because you can only go forward in our Toyota. You can't back up, just forward. So we get out and we're leaning up, we're early. We're leaning up against the Mexican restaurant. And up comes these two white Cadillacs. And they have the red lights. It's getting dark, so they have the red flashing taillights, you know? And two of them is really long when you put them together. And it's like a half a block worth of a car, two cars that make up like one car. And I don't remember who got out of the first car because he wasn't in the band. I think it was probably John Courage, our loving and sweet and truly horrifying road manager. He got out first. But secondly, Christine gets out of the second car. And she is dressed in like a little jacket, kind of like this, and a foofy English skirt and some kind of English cowboy boots, and her hair is all, you know. And she's got really beautiful makeup on, and she just looks ethereal, and I'm like, and then, okay, so she says, well, I'm going in, Roland. I'm going in to sit down and see you now. And I'm like, okay. And then John McVie gets out, and John's joke is, I brought to this band two things. I'm a great bass player, and I have a great set of legs. I'm like, you do have a great set of legs. So, nice to meet you. And so anyway, and then the coup de grace of the whole day, year, century, was Mr. Fleetwood when he got out in his 6'5"ness without his little heeled English boot in a full-on three-piece English suit with a fob watch that's totally 24 karat gold and some gorgeous diamondy thing hanging, and his hair is to here, and it's all back, and he has really high cheekbones, and he's simply gorgeous. And I just look at him and I go to Lindsay, this is good. This is really good. And Lindsay looks back at me and kind of gives me the... So we go in and we sit down, and Christine and I become like the best friends in the world immediately. And I come to find out that she had been told, if you don't like Stevie, then we'll just withdraw our invitation to be in the band, because it's up to you. That puts two girls in the band. And so anyway, Christine and I were like just best friends immediately. And that was really the catalyst that started the whole thing. So basically 2 days ago, we were in a rehearsal studio. They said, come, bring all your songs. We did. We sorted all through it. We started recording. It took us 3 months to make Fleetwood Mac, Fleetwood Mac. That's not a long time. And then we went into rehearsal. Then we went on the road for about 4 months. And I mean, doing pretty big tour, it was a pretty big tour because Fleetwood Mac did really well. So there we were. And I started to realize as the months wore by that there was a certain part of that beginning part from 1971 to 1975 that I started to really miss. And it's like, you might have experienced this when you're going like, I kind of miss being a cleaning lady in a way. And I kind of miss that waitressing. And I miss what I call the halcyon days, not sleeping pill days, the halcyon days of wine and roses days. Kind of miss it. And so, this song came out of that. So for all you travelers and nomads and gypsies, this is your song.